morning all of you. Today we will start with a new topic in civics, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. It is the second chapter in your civics section, fundamental rights and fundamental duties, page number 224. Page 224. So open your books to page number 224, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Okay, so fundamental, as the name suggests, these rights, if you talk about fundamental rights, fundamental means something which is very necessary, alright, or which is of central importance. So the things which we are going to discuss in this chapter, whether they are fundamental rights or are fundamental duties, they are of utmost importance, central importance, they are necessary, alright, and so that we will study in this chapter. Now in the first chapter, if you remember, we talked about constitution, and we talked about a preamble, how a constitution came into force, the important terms in our preamble, we studied about all of them, and so we studied about what secularism is, and what socialism is, what sovereignty is, and liberty, and also we studied about all those. Now we will see that how the ideals that we talked about in the last chapter, how they are translated into rights and duties. So the ideals that we talked about in the first chapter, in the second chapter we will see that how they are translated, how they are converted into rights and duties, and how the marginalized communities. Now who are the marginalized communities? Those communities which have been treated as unimportant, insignificant, lower, alright, not equal to the rest of the communities, like the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, and the other backward classes, alright, and those, that for years, not for years, for centuries, those that have been deprived of their rights, and those who have not been treated equally, they have not got any benefits and all. And so in this chapter we will see that how the ideals which we talked about in the first chapter, how they are translated into rights and duties, and how the marginalized communities, they can avail their rights, or how can they get their rights. So all this we will study in this chapter. Now every state, by state here we don't mean provinces, we mean the state of India, the nation of India. So every nation, every country, they try to provide the best facilities to their citizens. Now why so? So that the development can take place. So each country, each nation, they want to provide the best facilities to their citizens so that there can be proper development. Now this development is only possible when the citizens, they have certain rights. So the government, we know it works, it had to work for the welfare of the citizens. So the government works for the welfare of the people. Now what are these rights? These rights which will talk about in this chapter, they are considered essential, important, necessary for the well-being of a person. So the rights which are considered, there are so different types of rights. Now the rights which are considered essential, necessary, very important for the growth of an individual, now those rights are called as fundamental, alright, of utmost importance, alright, of central importance. Now these rights you cannot alienate, you cannot take away from any individual, because if you take away the fundamental rights from a citizen, then proper development of an individual is not possible. So fundamental rights are of utmost importance and considered essential for the development of a person. Now the constitution of a country, it has granted 6 fundamental rights. Now before we move into the different types of rights, have you heard about the fundamental rights? Have you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so do you know of any right that we have, any fundamental right that you know of?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, which one, beta?
Ma'am, right to equality.
Okay, right to equality. Anyone else knows about any one of the fundamental right that we have? We have six. Does anyone else?
Right to freedom. Right to freedom. Right to freedom.
Okay, right to equality, right to freedom. Then
Right to freedom.
yes,
Ma'am, right to freedom of religion.
yes, right, correct. Right to freedom of religion. Then only three.
Culture and educational rights. Educational rights.
Yes, cultural and
Cultural rights.
educational rights. Then we are done. We have done four.
Right to constitutional remedies.
Right to constitutional remedies. Fifth, one more.
Right to property.
There's one more right which is called as right
Right against
against
exploitation. Ma'am, right against exploitation.
Yes, right against.
Ma'am, right again.
Yes, right against exploitation. So, what is the importance of these fundamental rights? Now, they have their own importance. What is this importance? Now, fundamental rights, they make sure that all individuals, they get certain freedom to make their life happy and worth living. Now, if you are kept in bondage, how can any person be happy if you are kept in bondage and you are not free to do anything on your own? Will you be free? Will you be happy? Will
No,
you
ma'am.
feel that your life has a meaning? If you cannot do anything on your own and all the time you know you someone else tells you what to do and how to do, will you like that?
No, ma'am.
Not
No, ma'am.
no. So fundamental rights, they make sure that all individuals, they have certain freedom. Then fundamental rights also provide equal status and equal opportunity to all citizens. Now like in a class only, consider if some students are treated like they are the first citizens, and the other are treated as of no importance and not treated equally. They are ill treated, they are mistreated, and like some extra privileges are given to few students and the rest are denied. So in that condition, will the people, like the students in such a class, will they want to live, will they do they want to be in such a class like that?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Obviously, so no one wants that. So in obviously when we talk in context of country, so if some people are not treated equally and they're treated badly over the years, over centuries, so obviously a time will come when they feel that okay, no one gives importance to us, so it's better we don't live here. Okay, and so fundamental rights, they provide equal status so that everyone is treated equally, and also that same opportunities are available to all, to the richest person as well as to the poorest person, equal opportunities for all. Then fundamental rights, they also save the people from getting exploited, taken advantage of. The times are such and always have been that people are ready to take advantage of others. Now many times other people can take advantage of us, or they can exploit, take away our rights, and even many times the government can do something like that. So even government, states, or even individuals, they can also exploit our rights. Means no, they will not treat us equally. The government, what if they treat one community of people, um, and they give them more privileges and mistreat the people belonging to other community. Now that community can be based on anything. It could be based on language, it could be based on culture, it could be based on religion. But so fundamental rights, basically they help us, they save us, all right, from getting exploited. So we have fundamental rights, and if our rights are getting exploited, we can go to the courts to get our rights restored back to us. So let's have a look at these fundamental rights which are included in our constitution. Now the first is right to equality. Now right to equality, as the name suggests, it affirms that all citizens are equal before law. Alright, so irrespective of any difference that we might have on the basis of religion, caste, creed, gender, color, social status, education, alright, irrespective of any difference that we might have, all people should be treated equally, all are equal before law, and all persons shall be protected equally by the laws of the country. So laws same for all. Now right to equality also says that no citizen can be discriminated on the basis of any of the differences they might have. So doesn't matter what caste we belong, what color we have, what language we speak, what religion we belong to, still no citizen should be discriminated on the basis of that. Means they should not be unjustly treated on the basis of that. Then all people should have access, means they should have right to enter all public places, including playgrounds, hotels, ships, etc. Earlier when we had the caste system prevalent in our country, there was a certain group of people who were not allowed to go to the who cannot draw water from the public well, and who could not go to the temples. Their children could not go to the schools. Which was that community? When caste system was prevalent in our country, earlier there was one community which was not allowed to draw water from the public wells and all. Do you know anything about that?
Ma'am, they were called Shudras.
Among the Shudras also, there was one particular community, group of people who were called as the untouchables. Remember, heard the name before? Untouchables.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so they were called untouchables.
Ma'am, Dalit. Yes.
So untouchable means you cannot touch them. Even their touch can corrupt you or make you impure. So these people, they were not allowed to even take water, draw water from the public well. They were not allowed to go to the temples. Their children could not study in schools. And so now, because we live in a free and a democratic country, and we have certain rights given to us by our constitution, so every person has the right to enter or go to these public places. Then the state also, it cannot discriminate people against anyone in matters of employment. That in government services, we will not give a job to this particular community, or people belonging to this particular religion, or people speaking this particular language. So the government, the state, they can also not discriminate on the basis of that. And the practice of untouchability, it has also been put to an end. It has been abolished. Abolish means to put an end to. So the practice of untouchability, it has also been abolished. So the constitution, it says that everyone is equal before law, and also equal protection would be given to all, irrespective of their status, caste, creed, religion, sex or color. So it doesn't matter whatever difference we might have, all are treated equally before law. Then equal opportunities in all fields. So people, when we talk about equality, it is not only treating everyone equal, but also that everyone should have equal opportunities. So in the fields of public life also, equal opportunities for all. And so now, earlier there was a custom of giving titles, honorary titles to people. So like if the kings, they were happy with someone's service, so they would give him a particular title. Even during British Raj here, people were given titles. So they were the titles like Rai Sahib, Khan Bahadur, Sardar Bahadur and all. They were given. So now, no one is considered above the other person. All are considered equal. Only now we get gallantry medals. Gallantry means because of your courageous behavior in battles, because you've shown your courage in wars and battles and in difficult circumstances. So we can only get gallantry medals. and academic degrees means through education whatever degrees you can get, and that only can be conferred or granted on people. Otherwise the rest of the titles like Rai Sahib, Khan Bahadur and all, they have now been discontinued so that everyone can be treated equally. Second, we have the right to freedom. Now right to freedom is basically a cluster. It is a cluster of 6 freedoms. Now first is, under right to freedom we have the freedom of speech and expression. Then we have the freedom to form associations. We have the associations. We have the freedom to move throughout our country. We can go and settle, we can go and visit any place or country. Then we can also go and settle in any part of the country. We have the freedom of profession also, employment also. We can follow any profession, any employment that we want. So under this, we have so many rights. So we have the right to speech and expression, freedom to follow associations, right to move freely, reside in any part of the country, and right to practice any profession. But when we talk about right to freedom, this right to freedom, it comes with certain restraints or certain restrictions, certain conditions. Now we have right to freedom of speech and expression, but that cannot mean we can go on defaming anyone, because I have the right to speech and I can speak anything. So I can go on saying bad things also against people and defaming other people's reputation. No, that is not allowed. So right to freedom, it comes with certain conditions, with certain restrictions, with certain restraints. All right. And now though we have the right to employment, but that does not mean you can do anything illegal. No, this sale of drugs is, I want to do business in the sale of drugs. Now obviously that is not allowed. You cannot select a business like that. So though you have the right to select employment, do business, but then obviously it should be against the rules and not harm anyone else. So whatever we do, when we talk about this freedom of religion, this right to freedom, so always remember that right to freedom is not absolute. It is not total. It is not 100%. There are certain limitations placed so that we do not harm the other person. Okay, and so why? Because if freedom is unrestricted, no limits are put on freedom, then it can lead to lawlessness in the country also, and it could create many problems. And so in the interest of the freedom of a country and unity of the country, that is the sovereignty and integrity of the country, there are certain restrictions which can be imposed on our right to freedom. So though we have right to freedom, but it comes with certain limitations. Third is the right against exploitation. The constitution, it prohibits under right against exploitation, it prohibits 3 things. First, prohibits trafficking, basically human trafficking, illegal trade in human trafficking. You cannot buy and sell humans as goods and commodities, so that is illegal. Forced labor, here we are talking about bonded laborers, or what we call as begar. Basically this is practiced in the rural areas, village side, poor farmers and all. Many times they don't have money, their crops fail, and so they need to they sometimes need to take money from the money lenders and all, but they are not able to pay back, and the money lenders give this money on large interest, huge interest, and so what happens, these poor people not enough to eat, so they cannot pay back the money which they have taken. The interest, it mounts up each year, and so normally what used to happen, that the money lenders and these big landowners, what they used to say, that okay, since you cannot return a money, so now you need to work on a land. So till the time you pay your dues, you will work on a land for free. So they were made to work without being paid any salary or any wages. So that is bonded labor. So now against right, and in this right against exploitation, this bonded labor, forced labor, that is also illegal, and child labor, that is also not allowed. So we cannot make children under the 14 years of age work, all right, in hazardous jobs which can prove to be injurious to their life. So we cannot make children work there. So the constitution, it does not allow bonded labor. I have already explained you. So now such exploitation, they have been banned in under our constitution, and special concessions, special privileges have been made for the welfare of the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes and the other backward classes, because these groups of people, these communities of people have long, they have not been treated equally. They had been treated very badly, discriminated, not given rights, and so now certain special privileges, special concessions have been made for them in our constitution. Okay, fourth, we have the right to freedom of religion. Now India is a secular country. Now when we mean secular, what we mean to say is that there is no state religions and all religions in our country are treated equally. And so when we talk about right to freedom of religion, we mean that every person has the right not only to practice but profess, means he can speak about it, and propagate, he can even spread and promote. So every person has the right to practice, profess and propagate the religion of his or her choice. And so India being a secular country, the people, they have the right to follow any religion, and all religions are equal before law. And even people, if they don't want to follow any religion, they can do that also. So people can propagate the religion of their choice, means they can spread their religion, they can promote their religion, and they can even construct places of worship. And these people of different religion, they can also set up their own educational institutions. So all that is granted to us under our fundamental rights. Next, we have the cultural and educational rights. Now the constitution, it states that all minorities. Now when we mean minority, we only do not mean religious minorities. Now minorities in it could be linguistic minority also. Now religious or linguistic. Linguistic means, anyone here? Linguistic, what does it mean? Does anyone know in the class? What is the meaning of linguistic? Yes, class 80. Anyone? No? At least say yes or no. No ma'am, we don't know.
No, ma'am.
Okay, linguistic means based on language. Okay, so the constitution says that all minorities, whether based on religion or language, like Hindi speaking people, if we talk about Uttar Pradesh, so Hindi speaking people are in majority. But for example, if we take up Tamil or Malayalam or Bengali, so those language speaking communities would be less in number, so they will be in minority here, and Hindi speaking people will be in majority. You go down south, alright, you go to Chennai, there Tamilians would be in majority and Hindi speaking people will be in minority. So it does not, we are not only talking about religious but also language, based on language. So based on religion and based on language, all minorities, they can set up their own educational institutions so that they can preserve their culture, they can develop, they can promote their culture. And minorities which are based on religion as well as language, they have the right that they can establish and they can run, they can govern their educational institutions. And the state, means the government, it provides financial institutions to all, financial assistance to all institutions on an equal basis. So because it is a fundamental rights, so all religions, all languages treated equally, alright. So the state should give financial assistance equally on an equal footing or an equal basis to the different educational institutions set up by different religion groups also or different language groups also. And that brings us to the sixth And the last fundamental right that we have, and that is the right to constitutional remedies. Now Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he termed this right to constitutional remedies as the heart and soul of the constitution. Now why this right to constitutional remedies is so important, because it allows the citizens to move the courts if they believe that, if they think that any of their fundamental rights has been violated by the state, by any citizen, or by any institution, or even by any authority. So they can go to the courts for justice. Now this going to the courts, fundamental rights are said to be justiciable. Now what does that justiciable means? That if your rights are violated, you can move the courts of law. So if our fundamental rights are violated, we can go to the courts of law. Now this empowers us so much that we have a rights. It is not only that in a constitution we have a rights, but if our rights are violated, if someone exploits us, if someone violates our rights, then we can go to the courts to get our rights back restored to us. And so the courts, they can enforce the fundamental rights which are guaranteed by the constitution. And had this right to constitutional remedies not been there, then all the other rights would have been meaningless. There are so many things mentioned in rules and regulations, but even if they are broken, and if we cannot do anything about it, then what is the use, what is the purpose? All right, but this right to constitutional remedies, it makes everything meaningful. Now if our rights are violated, okay, yes, we can go to the courts to get our rights restored back to us. So but that is why it is said to be the heart and soul of a constitution, and a very important right. Now we talked about that we have so many rights, but we have also seen that every rights, it has its limitations. So the rights are not absolute, they can be taken away also. There are certain, like when we talked about right to freedom, we talked there are certain restrictions on the different rights that we have. And so these rights, they can also be suspended. We have certain rights, but these rights can be suspended if the president, he declares a state of emergency in the country. So if there is a threat if there is a threat that some other country could attack us, so in that condition, or if there is civil war, for different communities fighting in the country, and so if there is a civil war in the country also, and then depending on the condition, the president, he can declare a state of emergency. And in an emergency, some of the rights are taken away, they are taken back, or they are suspended. But this suspension, this taking back of our fundamental rights is only temporary, it is only for a time, and as soon as the emergency will be over, then the rights are restored, or they are given back to the citizens. So whatever we have done till now, we have seen what are fundamental rights, alright, what is the importance, and what are the 6 fundamental rights that we have. And we have also seen, and we have also learned that though we have rights, but that does not mean we can go and do anything. No, we should exercise our rights, keeping in mind that the rights of the other person, that they are not exploited, they are not violated. So while I am exercising my right, the other person also should be able to exercise his or her right. So we have rights for our development, for the proper development of an individual given to us by a constitution, but then they are not absolute, and in certain cases like an emergency, these rights can be suspended for a time, or temporarily they can be suspended. Okay, so for today we will stop here. Have you all understood what we did today? Is it clear to all
Yes,
of you?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any confusion
Yes, ma'am.
anywhere?
No, ma'am.
Alright.